Hi, in this video, I want to quickly show you how to combine multiple CSV files into one output file using Python. Before we get started, I want to quickly show you my setup. So right now I have a Python script and 3 data files all in the same directory. And for the data files, it just has a header and some random data, and the same goes for all 3. And I'm doing it this way so the script will read all these CSV files and combine them into one output file into that same directory. Now we can go ahead and dive into the code. As you can see here, I have all the code written out already. That's just to save time, but I'll go through it line by line to make sure you understand each piece. The first thing here is the import. We're going to import the glob library, and I'll discuss what that's used for a little bit later. Next, we need to use the with statement and open a file to write, and this will be the file that we write all the CSV files to. And right now I'm just calling it output.csv. It could be anything. I'm just using that for simplicity. I'm passing in the W mode, which is write mode, and then I'm assigning the handle as output file. With this setup, it'll create a new file and it'll write to it. And if the file already exists, it'll open it and override it and then write the new data on top. If you don't want that to happen, if you want to append the file every time you run the script, you just change this to an A for append mode. Next, we need to get a list of all the files that we want to use. This is where the glob library comes into play. So we type glob.glob, and then we pass in a regular expression defining which files we want to read. In this case, we want to pass in data underscore, and then the asterisk, which is a wildcard, and then .csv. So this will essentially match any file that starts with data underscore and ends with .csv. Once this code executes, it'll return a list of file names. And then once we have the file names, we'll go down here and actually loop through the file names. So we'll do a for loop on input file list, and then give each file instance a name, and we'll just call it input file. Inside this loop, we'll need to open each of these files so we can read them and then write to the output file. To do that, it's basically the same as before. You use the with statement. You call open, pass in the file name, and then pass in R for the mode, which is read, and then set a file handle. Now for efficiency, what we'll want to do is read each line one at a time and write that line to the output file. So for that, we'll do another for loop. This time we'll loop on the source file, and we'll give each line a variable to reference and just call it line. Now inside the for loop, we'll call the file handle for the output, and then call the write method and pass in the line. Once this loop completes, essentially the input file has been written to the output. Now we need to write one final new line character just to make sure that the first line of the next file starts on a new line. This really depends on your input files. So in our file, we don't have a new line character as the last character. So if we were to combine these without that, this header would be directly next to the final line of the previous file. So that's why that's there. You may or may not need this depending on your input data. One final note on this script. You'll notice that we didn't have to close any of the files that we opened, and that's because we used the with statement, and that automatically closes files at the end of the loop. Now let's go ahead and run the script and see what happens. So I'm just going to open up the terminal here. I'll run the script by typing it out and pressing enter, and you'll see that the output file is automatically generated, and if we open it up, we can see all of our data in one file. That's it. Now you know how to combine CSV files into one output file. If you'd like to see any customized versions of this script, please let me know in the comments section and I'll be happy to make another video. And with that being said, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.